You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Hey, welcome back for closing out the week on Mission Log Engage. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and commenting and sharing. This is a lot of fun for me and Norman to be able to kind of go one-on-one and talk about your comments and emails. And today we've got one that it goes back a little bit, not as far back as you would think, but David here is looking retroactively at, well, the very first Star Trek. So, Norman, why don't you share David's comments with us?
All right. So David says, we know that Trek has forecast many of the technologies we have today. Certainly the communicator, the iPad, medical tech, and more were in their sights. But going back to the original pilot, the genius of Roddenberry really shows in a very scary way. In The Cage, when Vina is telling Pike about the Talosians, she accurately describes how their society fell and the fact that living quote unquote virtual lives has destroyed them. She says about the Talosians, they found that it's a trap, like a narcotic. When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating. You even forget how to repair the machines left behind by your ancestors. You sit living and reliving other lives, the thought record left behind. Now, I'm guessing Roddenberry was using this to describe TV to some extent, but with the advent of where we are as a society and are going with virtual reality coming on strong, you can clearly see how prophetic Roddenberry was, even back in 1964, and how scary VR has the potential to become. When a large part of our society finds living other lives better than their own, do we start believing that dreams are more important than reality? We will give up traveling, building, and creating. Or will we give up traveling, building, and creating? Will we have large parts of our society that spend so much time living virtual lives they get lost in the thought record? I think it makes for interesting conversation, both on just how prophetic Roddenberry was, not just with the tools, but society in general, and how scary some of this can be. That's deep.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you, David. And I feel like that's definitely, that could be a whole hour-long podcast on its own.
I wanted an easy one for Friday.
I know, too bad. We put those in the middle of the week now. And even then, they aren't that easy. Yeah. My thoughts here are going in a lot of different directions because I think you're right that there was this sort of pushback against TV as being, the idiot box, the thing that you just sort of escape into. And you can, and people did, and people do spend hours and hours and hours in front of the TV. And there's something unfortunate about that. At the same time, I don't want to be too reactionary because I feel like technology is just technology. And there's a key word that David has here in this email that is potential. VR, let's talk about TV. TV has the potential to be enlightening, engaging, educational, thoughtful, and transforming. It also has the potential to be a stupid waste of time. Virtual reality has the potential to be an immersive way of gameplay that you can lose yourself and lose contact with the rest of the world. It also has the potential to be an incredible educational tool. I don't do a lot of VR, but when I do, I find that the things that I love the most have to do with history. Because the idea of, walking through a pyramid or even modern day scientific, walking through the International Space Station, stuff like that, I just engage my mind so much. But I don't do a lot of it. I don't spend a lot of time there, So technology is technology. It can be used in, one way or the other for good or bad purposes. And I think the value of things like Star Trek and other morality plays of this type is that they get the audience to think about those questions. It's not just here's the thing, but here's the thing that could actually have some negative side effects that you might not be thinking of. And I don't think that whether it is TV or VR or you could make this argument about movies when they came out, or certainly there was pushback against the printing press when that was new.
You kids and your records and your long hair. Yeah,
exactly.
I should talk.
Right, long-haired hippie.
I know.
But there will always be pushback against what is new. Fortunately, humanity is broad and diverse enough that there will be people who can use it to its greatest potential. There will be people who use them to their detriment. And it's up for all of us to maintain that conversation about what is the proper role of this thing. Norman?
Well, I think that there are two words that come to mind, when it comes to what David's talking about, and that's abuse and moderation. How do
Mhm.
you choose to use these tools that are supposed to make our lives more enriched and better? If you go too far, that's abusing that particular privilege of technology. Getting every single version of every single technology at the moment that it's released. That's there's a certain type of like a narcotic reaction, like a
Mm.
what's the Pavlovian response to
Mm.
having that type of technology in your life? The dopamine response
Mm.
of every single email or ding or message that comes through whatever device that you're waiting for, not necessarily using, you're waiting for that to happen. So yeah, sure, there can be an abusive relationship with technology, and if not, balanced and moderated properly in one's life, it can lead to a very serious issue when it comes to breaking with certain realities. I think
Mm.
that's where the Telosians were at. They were so mentally superior, but at the same time, though, they were so intrinsically lazy because their minds they didn't know how to process being able to basically roll up their shirt sleeves and stick their hands in the dirt anymore. They
Mhm.
lost every sense of tangible connection with their own reality. So what happens? But at the same time, though, look what they were able to do for Christopher Pike
Mhm.
in the menagerie.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were able to fix his broken body by being able to stimulate it through his mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that in and of itself is the perfect example of technology run amok in one way, but at the same time, though, technology used to be able to preserve and enrich somebody else's life in another way. So it really has to be looked at in terms of moderation and balance.
That
Because
Oh, no, go ahead.
go
Go
no,
ahead.
please go ahead.
I would say that is one of the great things about Star Trek. It's science fiction, it's the future, but you look at so many episodes that have this almost like arm's length relationship with technology. Our
Mhm.
technology does great things for us, ooh, but we also have to keep it in check. I think
Sure.
good science fiction does that anyway. I mean, it has ever since Mary Shelley's Frankenstein,
Right.
arguably the first science fiction novel. But then Star Trek does that on a regular basis too. It never loses the human factor in it.
And I think that has to be said also that the in the technological world where everyone's plugged in, there is a definite echo chamber of everybody sharing their connection or their connectivity with technology. There are huge amounts of the population out there that don't subscribe to using technology on a daily basis the way that some people do. They don't fall in line with having to depend on it every day. Some people have completely cut themselves off the grid, snipped all the cables, have gone back to building log cabins with their hands, with hand hammers and nails and things of that nature, because they want to feel the world again. They want to
Mm-hmm.
get back to a certain level of reality. And sometimes it's a 180-degree turn from where they were because they knew how badly they've gone down the technological rabbit hole. So again, it's about balance, moderation, and not abusing that which is provided to you, which can enrich your life.
Yeah. Hey, I love this kind of conversation so much. Thank you, David, for sharing that with us. And look, more to come. And you can find us at youtube.com/RoddenberryProd. Make sure you like and share and subscribe to the Mission Log Engage playlist. If you'd like to send us your own comments, email us, missionlog@roddenberry.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at MissionLogPod. And remember, we may engage with your comments on the air.